time, let's go ahead and meet up in child's pose.
Notice where the weight of the body meets the floor. And begin to notice how the body moves as you breathe. And start to deepen both sides of the breath. So you want to take some nice long inhales and allow for a little bit of space before you exhale. So not gripping, there's no retention, just a little bit of space, and then begin to exhale. And as you exhale, start to use the low ribs and abdominal strength to squeeze out that last bit of air at the bottom of the exhale, and then hang out here in that space. And as you start to inhale from into the bottom of the lungs first, and then the mid part of the chest and the upper part of the chest. So you get these nice, deep, full breaths, conscious breaths with space on both sides. If you practice an Ujjayi pranayama, or you just any type of audible breath, just try to soften that sound a little bit as you evolve through your practice. And reach out through the fingertips. Start to walk the hands over to the right side, all the way off of your mat. And breathe the same way. The hands back to center, yogis, and all the way over to the other side. So get lots of length on one side, lots of compression on the other, and that same breath. And walk the hands back to center. Reach out through the fingertips. Keep the hands shoulder width apart. And start to push down through the shins, just like we do every morning here. And just push and let that push down do all of the work. That's what's going to pop the torso up. So instead of lifting and trying to use muscles or upper body strength, that is potentially going to cause you to bend the elbows and push up into this. But just forget it. Keep the arms straight, push and lift and lean out past the wrists a little bit. And then we'll exhale here. Start to push and lift and lean and inhale now. So we're still going to keep that space between each side of the breath with us. And it's in that space that we initiate the movement. All right, so you're not forcing the breath to initiate the movement. That's not its job. Its job is to support the movement. So you want that breath to come a little bit later, almost at the end here. And almost at the end here. So that little bit of space is where the movement begins. Inhale, bring the gaze forward. Sink the hips and exhale. You can start to lift the pelvic floor. This is an energetic lift that might feel like a physical experience if you are new to Mula Bandha, but over time, the more you push down effectively and pause between each side of the breath, the more that this will become an energetic support system that happens naturally on its own. So there's no trying and you're not creating tension in the
pelvic floor. And on that next exhale, bring the chin and chest down in between the hands. And then pull the torso forward. So you end up on the belly, your hands should be right at your waist. And then push through the hands, sink the hips, and exhale. Push and inhale now. Exhale, Ashtangasana. Pull forward onto the belly, inhale, and maybe you can lift the thighs up if you want. And then one more time back to child's pose, exhale. Push, inhale, chin and chest, exhale. Pull forward, inhale now. Lift the hips, exhale, down dog. So you can walk in place a little bit, move the hips side to side, whatever feels natural. Just kind of check it out. So just let go of any right or wrong way that you think any of these poses should be done. That only leads to you thinking you're either good or bad at something. And we'll just look for a more effective way, and that's going to come from this conscious breath. And start to walk the hands back to meet the feet. Keep the feet hip width apart, and you can bend the what are these? These are not elbows. Bend the knees a little bit. Let the belly rest on the thighs, and you can cross the arms. And just notice how the body moves as you breathe in this shape. Same breath. Go ahead and walk the hands toward the front again, and right back into down dog. And start to walk the feet up to meet the hands. You can bring the toes together, keep the heels apart slightly. You can stay with the feet hip width apart here as long as you create a little bit of internal rotation. Start to push down into the floor, and that is going to ultimately bring you up to standing without even trying. So we've got this really nice internal rotation here in Tadasana, and then start to push the shins away from each other. So when you create that external rotation from the knees down, notice what that does in the feet. It creates a really strong sense of ground here. And the more you have that internal and external rotation, that downward current begins to develop. Start pushing down actively into the floor. So instead of pushing away from the floor in your practice, you always want to push down into the floor, not away. That creates exertion. Pushing down into the floor creates that graceful movement. The more you push, the more you can lift the arches. Lift the kneecaps, draw energy up, lift the thighs, and lift up through the inner thighs. And start to push and lift more so that that lift at the pelvic floor, it's a subtle experience, and you can draw that energy all the way up to just about an inch or so below the navel. Press the palms together actively so that you create space in the armpit area. This creates integration here, and it's a cue that I use often, and it's really designed to help you find your right alignment. Same breath here. We'll go through a few rounds of Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, reach up overhead. And exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Push through the feet, that's going to bring you up, and inhale. And step or hop back to either Chaturanga Dandasana or Ashtangasana, or even onto the belly. Inhale, Cobra or Up Dog.
And use the belly, lift the hips, exhale now. So in this down dog, yogis take the heels apart. We've got that same internal rotation here, and even push the shins away from each other here. Start to, really develop those roots. Take them deep and wide. And breathe the same way. On the next inhale, bring the gaze forward. Step or hop the feet up. Land softly here. Finish that inhale. Exhale. Use the belly to pull the torso in closer to the legs. Bring the gaze forward. Push and inhale. Come on up to vertical. Reach up overhead. And exhale. Inhale. Push through the feet. Exhale, lift up out of the pelvis as you dive forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. And lift the pelvic floor and reach through the sit bones. So eventually, yogis, as you continually practice, you create this experience of just moving the pelvis through space, and the rest of the body follows along for the ride. And the more you can push and lift the pelvic floor, the more freedom you will create in the entire body and the entire experience. So there's no more trying. You'll find you just up in places. With quite deliberate movement. Okay, yogis, bring the gaze forward, step or hop the feet up, land softly, finish that inhale. Exhale, Uttanasana. Push and inhale, come on back up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Draw the low belly in and up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, Chaturanga. Even with that space in the armpit area here. Inhale, reach through the heart center. And exhale, lift the hips. Reach through the sit bones, lift the pelvic floor. Push through the feet, lift the arches. It's the same action. On the next inhale, bring the gaze forward, lift the hips nice and high, float the feet up, land softly. Exhale. Push and inhale. Come on up effortlessly here, yogis. And exhale. We'll just take a couple of breaths here, check in with the effects of the sun salutations practice. No matter how many we do, it's an act of opening and closing the body and aligning those sacred chambers. Go ahead and hop the feet hip width apart. So we're going to work on Bakasana, all right? You guys know what you're doing. Go ahead and hop the feet hip width apart, sink the hips, plant the hands, shoulder width apart ideally. You can lift way up onto the toes, scoop that belly. And then you can start to lift one foot up at a time. So let's see. My hands are a little bit closer than they have been. Yep, and that's actually a dumb idea. So I'm going to take my hands wide still. So start to, wherever you are, pull the knees toward each other and start to pull your feet up to your buns.
So you start to create this lifting effect, all right? So you can take a vinyasa or just step back to down dog. We're going to do this a few times, all right? So from your down dog, hop forward. You can land softly on the backs of the arms or kind of hop forward and then mess around with it. So for me, I'm taking my hands a little bit wider and actually even turning my fingers out slightly. So I've got a little bit of external rotation. This is giving me more space in my shoulder girdles so that I don't have to have such a tight scoop of the belly, because that's what I am incapable of doing at this present moment. All right, but you want to keep your feet hip width apart. Don't bring your feet all the way together and then take the knees wide. But you do want to use the inner thighs to pull in toward each other and lift the pelvic floor. And take a vinyasa. Let's do that a couple more times. You can work on it at your own pace. Hop into it, take a few breaths, hop out of it. All right. If you're new to hopping back to Chaturanga, it's really learning how to lift up off of the arms rather than ending up in Chaturanga. You want to learn how to lift and kind of spring up and use the belly to pull you up off of the backs of the arms. All right. So one more time in crow pose. If you like to come into headstand from your crow pose and take a vinyasa from there, go for it. I trust you guys. Do whatever is in your practice, okay? And there's no rush. We'll meet up in down dog, all right? Okay, yogis, from your downward facing dog, bring the right foot forward, come onto the outer edge of the back foot and inhale, warrior two. Push through both feet evenly. And that same space in the armpit area. And start to turn the torso toward the front of the room and then turn on, lift all the way up onto those back toes, scoop the belly, Parivrtta Parishva Konasana. So if you have your hands at your heart center here, yogis, make sure you get them to your heart center. All right? So that just means really unwind that top shoulder. Use the back leg. All right? Move on even here. Exhale, bring the gaze to the toes, come onto the outer edge of the back foot, and inhale right back up to warrior two. Turn toward the front of your mat again. Bring the left hand to the mat and open right up into Vashisthasana. So any leg variation, make sure that shoulder's right over the wrist, not way out here. Push and bring that shoulder over the wrist. And then you can use the bandhas and hold the hips up nice and high. On the next exhale, take a vinyasa. And inhale forward, open up to Vashisthasana on the right hand. And any leg variation. We'll do this a couple times so you can play around with other variations later. Same space in the armpit area. And make sure that shoulder's right over the wrist. If it's here, your feet are too far away from that hand. I'm going to shorten up that base. And take a vinyasa. Yogis, from your down dog, left foot forward, please. Warrior two, push and inhale. No. Push, draw energy up. So it's always going to support the lift at the pelvic floor. Turn the torso, lift all the way up onto the back toes. Draw that belly in and up as you twist. Start to that twist from the lowest part of the spine. And breathe. Relax the jaw. And exhale, bring the gaze to the toes, yogi. Come on to the outer edge of that back foot. Ow. And inhale. That was super weird. And inhale up to warrior two. How did that even happen? And breathe. Nice work. Turn the torso forward, bring that right hand down, and step right into Vashisthasana. So any variation that you're working on, you can take that top leg straight up, or take that top foot back behind you. Any variation that you're in, come back to Vashisthasana first. And then take a vinyasa. And we'll do that on the other side. Inhale forward, Vashisthasana in any version. Any variation you're in, come back to Vashisthasana first, so there's no flinging around. Deliberate movement. And then take a vinyasa. Nice work, yogis. So, go ahead and come onto the knees and the shins and push, lift the torso up, and reach back for the heels. Ustrasana. Push and inhale. Come onto the forearms, lift the hips, and maybe lift up to Asana here. Or keep one foot on the mat. Go and come back onto the shins. Push and inhale, bring the torso up. And exhale. Ustrasana. Push through the shins, inhale. Bring the forearms to the mat and lift up to Pincha or come right into your headstand. Wherever you are, push and create that space in the armpit area. And find your way onto the shins, push and inhale. Ustrasana. Push and inhale. Come into any inversion you like, including a tripod-based headstand. So, headstand, forearm balance, maybe a handstand, or tripod-based headstand. If you're in a tripod-based headstand, you can bring the knees onto the backs of the arms. Push and lift up to Bakasana. You guys do it. You can take a vinyasa from here or lift right back up to your tripod-based headstand. And wherever you are, yogis, we'll meet up in camel. Inhale, bring the torso up, plant the hands, push off of the tops of the feet. We'll meet up in down dog. Nice work, yogis. From your downward facing dog, go ahead and come on into a plank position. Open up to Vashisthasana, so you're going to be on that right hand. Any leg variation. Keep that space in the armpit area. And take a vinyasa, and we'll do that on the other side. Inhale forward, come on to that left hand in any version. And use the bandhas and hold the hips up. Space in the armpit area. And we'll meet up in down dog however you care to get there. All right? Nice work. From your downward facing dog, yogis, go ahead and inhale forward to a plank position. And we're going to meet up on the belly. Bring the hands right alongside the thighs. You want to glue the palms to the thighs and then roll on to your right arm. Right on top of it. Asana. So if you're hanging out on your head, lift your head up or put a block under here. So think about what would you look like if you were standing in Tadasana. Right? I have space between my heels. Every time I do this pose, I have to like fix my bracelet later because it like gets all flattened out. Yogis, keep everything right here and lift that top leg up only as high as you can with internal rotation on the leg. Doesn't have to be super high. Push into the floor through the bottom leg and lift the pelvic floor. Turn the toes straight up and then lift that leg as high as you can. So you can hold on to the toe or the outer edge of the foot, or you can hold on to the knee, whatever, as long as you're on top of this arm. Be careful to not let the elbow bend and have it out behind you so you're in this kind of weird shape. You want to stay nice and straight, keep the head lifted. And then bring the leg down just halfway. Turn those toes, create that internal rotation again, and then lift both legs up to meet the top leg. Lift the bottom foot up to meet the top leg. I'm actually going to take this shit off. Between the mic pack and everything else that I'm laying on. So lift the feet nice and high. Keep your head lifted. All right, I'm using my top arm for a little bit of stability, but you don't need to. And breathe. Then fling onto the body. Side. Roll right on top of your left arm. Keep the head lifted, nice and easy. And lift the top leg only as high as you can with that same internal rotation. We're not stretching, so it doesn't have to go too high. Pull the belly in. Turn the toes straight up and then reach for the knee or the foot, up to you. Push into the floor through that bottom leg more. Same space in the armpit area. So all that means is lift the heart center, take the shoulders down and back. That gives you lots of stability here. And bring the leg down just halfway, come back to that internal rotation, and then lift both legs up to meet that top leg. Bring that bottom foot up to meet that top foot. All right, really squeeze the ankles together, squeeze the feet together, and lift a little bit higher. This is my weird side, I'm sorry. Lift and keep pushing into the floor through whatever part of the body is touching the floor. Lift a little bit higher. Lift up to chaturanga, no up dog. And then up dog. And exhale, down dog. Nice work. Inhale forward to a plank position. Exhale, come all the way onto the belly. Bend the knees, reach back for the tops of the feet or the ankles. Kick and inhale. Lift the thighs further up, and you can keep the feet and the knees wide here, whatever gives you more space. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, rolling over to your right side. Parshva Dhanurasana. You want to keep the gaze up over the shoulder, look for that top foot. And it's really easy for that bottom foot to forget what it's supposed to be doing, so kick more into that bottom hand. And on the next inhale, lift up onto the belly, and then exhale on over to the other side. So keep kicking into that bottom hand, bringing the gaze all the way up to the top foot. Kick more. Inhale onto the belly, lift those thighs a little bit higher, and then go ahead and bring the hands right alongside the waist, tuck the toes, chaturanga. Inhale, and exhale. Nice work. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on some inversions. We've done a few already. So inversion of your choice, handstand, Asana, headstand. Totally up to you, all right? Let's get upside down. If you're new to any of these, I'll go through a few options. You can always walk the feet up the wall. If you do practice walking the feet up the wall, don't start with the knees on the floor and then lift up this way. Super awkward, makes it much harder than it needs to be. Lift up kind of into a down dog and then take one leg up all the way and just push into the wall through that top foot. And you'll notice that that lifts the hips up. So you don't have to try to lift this other foot up. Just push into the wall, not away from the wall. All right, if you're already kicking up at the wall and working on things, we're going to be here for a few minutes. You have lots of time to do whatever kind of in your current practice. All right, you can use that wall, walking the feet up the wall in any inversion. You can do it in forearm balance, Asana. Get that leg all the way up and then push. It just lifts that foot up. You can do it in headstand. Lift the hips, take that leg all the way up, and then push. There's no pressure to start lifting a leg up because that's when you could potentially fall over and then you're not going to do this anymore. So keep that foot in front of you. Technically, it is handstand and forearm balance and headstand, regardless of what the feet are doing. As long as you keep pushing and lifting, create that same space in the armpit area, and then the legs aren't going to define any of these inversions. Okay? So let's stay upside down. If you're working on any leg variations in any of these, you can always work on kind of Garudasana legs are always fun. I'll do this with my back to you. You can wrap one leg around the other, kind of hook that foot around the calf. Maybe bring the soles of the feet together like Baddha Konasana. Maybe you're working on full lotus in any of your inversions. Totally up to you, all right? Stay upside down for a couple more minutes. Push and breathe, Mula Bandha. So one great technique that I use to increase the duration of your inversion practice is to start counting your breaths. Not think about seconds or minutes, but start thinking about how many breaths you're taking. So when you start to become aware of the breath and you add in that space on either side, you're going to breathe an average of 6 breaths per minute. So start counting the breaths. Once you get up to 20 breaths, doesn't have to happen today. You want calm, conscious breaths, not like freaking out breaths. But so build up slowly. Once you get to about 20 breaths, then you can start timing yourself using minutes or seconds or whatever. All right, but use the breath to increase the duration and work up to 20 breaths. How many minutes is that? You do the math. Good job. All right, so last minute, upside down, wherever you are. And you can make your way to a child's pose if you like, or just take a vinyasa and we'll meet up in down dog, okay? So from your downward facing dog, yogis, I'm going to give you a couple of choices here. You may either bring the right foot through for Hanuman Asana or bend the front knee for Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. All right, totally up to you. Wherever you are, if you want to flex the front foot, make sure you flex the back foot. If you're going to point the front foot, come onto the top of the back foot if you're in Hanuman Asana, all right? If you, either one, get lots of length along the front of the body. Push into the floor through the legs, no matter which shape you're in. And you can come into a forward fold, either way. Keep the legs active, push into the floor. You might find that that lifts you up a little bit. Even if you have blocks under this front leg in the splits, you still need to push. That push down is the only thing that tells the nervous system that this is cool and the breath can follow along for the ride. If you're just stretching the ever-loving shit out of your hamstrings or whatever, you're only sending that message to the nervous system that says, this isn't cool, I'm never going to be good enough, my hamstrings are never going to change. So always push down. In either version, you can stay in this forward fold or work on any back bend variation that you like. Bend that back knee. Slide that foot into the bend in the elbow. If you do this version in pigeon or Hanuman Asana, kick into the hand. So you don't want to bring the hands way down like this, you want to start to push. See, watch if I kick into my arm, look what that does to my torso. Creates lots of space. And keep pushing into the floor, all right? Any version you like. If you're in a back bend version, go ahead and release. If you're in a forward fold, bring the torso up, tuck the back toes, and take a vinyasa. And we'll do that on the other side. Go ahead and bring that left foot through more gracefully than I do, please. For either pigeon or Hanuman Asana, totally up to you. Push into the floor, get lots of length. And then you can come into a forward fold. And breathe. Come back to that same breath we had in child's pose. Mula Bandha, even here. In any back bend version that you're working on, you can stay in the forward fold or bring the torso up. Start to bend that back knee in any version. You want to, if you're doing any version that you're in, honestly, if you're reaching back with one hand or reaching up overhead with both hands for that foot or bringing that foot into the bend in the elbow, kick the foot away from you. And that's what's going to lift that torso up and give you all that space. Keep kicking. If you're in a back bend, go ahead and release. If you're in a forward fold, bring the torso up, tuck the back toes, and make your way right through a vinyasa. Nice work, yogis. From your down dog, inhale, jump through. Go ahead and bend the right knee and bring that other foot to the outside of the thigh. Lean back, draw the belly in, twist from the lowest part of the spine. You use that back hand to push the torso up, and then you can reach for this knee or maybe the arch of the foot, or if you like a bound version, go for it. Push through this front foot. Lift up out of the pelvis, and same space in the armpit area. Throw the belly in. Keep pushing through that foot. Notice it kind of pushes you back into it a little bit. Breathe. It's easy to daydream here. Push more. Lift the pelvic floor more. space in the armpit area. Inhale, bring the gaze back to center, yogis. Go ahead and release the twist. Plant the hands, lift. And then just kind of switch legs in midair. So now you've got that right foot on the outside of the other thigh. Lean back into it so you can kind of get out of your own way. All right. I have to get out of my COVID-19 here. So lean back and push. And so you're not using this arm, be careful not to use this elbow to just kind of pull the shoulders around. You want that twist, the whole torso to twist, and then kind of push up into it. And then the arm is just simply supporting you here. So you want to keep pushing through that front foot, bring the gaze over the back shoulder. Push through this hand as well. Any opportunity to push down is going to give you that freedom and length you're looking for. So you're not just twisting, there's full participation since Tadasana. Mula Bandha. Push more. I don't know if you guys can hear my pluck. Oh my God. And inhale, bring the gaze back to center. Release the twist. Kind of roll forward, plant the hands. And unwind the legs as you take a vinyasa. Nice work, yogis, from your down dog. Inhale, jump through. And exhale, lie on the back. Take the feet wide, take the arms wide. As you make your way right into the depth of your practice. Relax the jaw and let the tongue drop from the roof of the mouth. Smooth out that little space between the eyebrows. See how heavy you can get with each exhale. Imagine exhaling through the back of the body down into the floor. Really nourishing that downward current of apana. And slowly begin to bring the awareness back into the body. And back to the breath. Maybe this is really where the practice begins. Create a breath here that you can keep with you as you move through the balance of your day. A breath that calms the mind and guides the intellect in the right direction. Begin to move fingers and toes. And circle the ankles and wrists. Roll the arms and legs in and out. Turn the head to one side and then the other. And take a big stretch up overhead, yogis. Stretch in whatever way feels natural. Hug the knees to the chest, roll all the way over onto your left side. And all the way over onto your right side. And come on up to a seated position. Keep the eyes closed and bring your hands together at your heart center in Anjali Mudra, where we connect our everyday self with our infinite self. And we'll chant one Om. Take a deep inhale. Om. We are all one, yogis. Namaste. Thank you for the privilege. And Waheguru. Fearlessness and mercy at all times, yogis. That is the message of Shiva. And in fact, this is where your practice begins today. Have a good one.